Hello, my friends. I welcome you to another episode of Adhitya Talks. Another Saturday, another story. Today, joining us is Mr. Prabal Pratap, and he is a journalist and has covered a lot of different areas over his very big career. Uh, he's been working in this industry for from over 25 years, and he is a very interesting person. Sir, welcome to the show. And how are you
Thank
doing?
you. I'm fine. Thank
Ye-
you, Adhitya.
yes, sir. Um, can you tell us about yourself? Can you just give a brief background about yourself so our viewers can more know more about you?
Yeah, I'm a journalist. Almost for the past 3 decades, I'm into this profession. And I have covered war. I have been to Afghanistan. I have been to Iraq. I have been to Lebanon. I have been to Kashmir. I have been to other conflict zones. I have covered politics. I have been chasing Virappan, the forest brigand. To him, I was in the forest for almost 17, 18 days. So I have traveled widely, India and abroad. I have covered parliament elections, state elections. I have been to, you name anything, and I have been there.
Yes. So that is a very dynamic career. So you've done almost everything that falls under journalism. So that must be
Hmm.
really interesting. So, sir, why did you become a journalist? Matlab, was it a childhood dream for you, or was it an accident or something that you randomly chose?
No, I'll tell you because when I was in school, my father was a state posted in UP government. So I did not have I could not pursue my studies in one school. So what would happen is that every time he gets transferred, I'll be go to other district. So my schooling happened all over eastern part of UP, and so I could not focus on what to do. So then I did my graduation. Then I got an opportunity, and I got admission in Jawaharlal Nehru University. That was a turning point in my life, and I joined GNU. The campus there, the environment, the teaching community, uh, this was for the first time that I could focus on, my studies. In a sense, uh, there I realized that I am in one of the best universities of the country, and which has. So I must use this opportunity to recover those things which I had lost because of because of frequent transfer of my father and my shifting from one place to another place. So when I came to JNU, I started studying, and during the course of my study, I pursued the MPhil and then pursued PhD. Then I realized my brother was a journalist. So actually, what happened was, uh, pre GNU, I could not, we would not even get a newspaper to read, English newspaper. You know, that was something we could hardly get to read. So when I came to GNU, it gave me an opportunity that I thought that I must focus on my studies. And while I was studying, I realized that this is the only profession where I can express myself freely and frankly. And that is how, and before getting into this profession, I taught political science for 1 year in Delhi University also, but I didn't like that profession. So I thought I must pursue my interest in journalism, because I realized that maybe this will give me an opportunity to express myself. So there was something uneasy in myself, and when I got into journalism, that uneasiness suddenly withered away, and I started feeling easy, and then that is how my career started in 1990.
So that is really interesting. So
Mm.
basically, you didn't have any exposure before your school and college. And I think my viewers, why you at a young age have so much exposure, you know so much of what is going around the world, and you can explore the world and do anything at a young age. Sir, I did not even get this opportunity, and look where he is. So that, sir, really shows us your passion for expressing yourself and growing in life. But moving on, can you tell us about your early stages of your career in journalism? What are your experiences from working in the field?
Okay. I'll tell you, when I started as a cub journalist, as a trainee journalist, and I got initiated. My first opportunity was to work with the Indian Express newspaper. I had always this thing. All my brothers and sisters were convent educated, and I was the only sibling of my who could not get an opportunity to go to a public school. I went to public school for hardly 2 3 years. Then I studied in different parts of UP. So when I joined Indian Express, I said, "Look, let's uh, 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 pursue it sincerely." And suddenly my job नौकरी चली गई जिसे कहते हैं. Then I joined a Hindi newspaper. Then there I realized that the canvas is huge. I mean, you get, but the impact as compared to the English journalism, the impact would not be so much in Hindi. So, having worked there for 3 4 years, I joined the Pioneer newspaper in 1995. That was the turning point in my life, because when I joined the Pioneer, I was given first. I was covering education, since I had done MPhil and pursued PhD from JNU. So I would love covering education. Then I was given an opportunity to cover crime in 1996. So it so happened that while I was covering crime in Delhi, I went to meet a couple of IPS officers, which was part of my job. And these IPS officers will treat journalists as if the journalists don't know anything. So he treated me in the same fashion, and he told me that you guys don't know what is IPC, what is CRPC, and it touched me. And then I made it a point that I'll study IPC, I'll study CRPC, and after almost 6 months, I went to meet the same police officer. And when I started talking to him in the language he would understand. So he was little aghast. The boy 6 months ago जिसको IPC CRPC नहीं आता था, look at the boy, he has come fully prepared. And I started pursuing. I was a very hard worker. I mean, I had this craving to know, to go deep into what I was covering. So when I was covering crime, so I'll tell you, well, I had a passion for visiting scene of crime. And normally reporters avoid, but I would make it a point that I'll visit every scene of crime, and this will make me understand how the crime was committed. And naturally and gradually, I developed this art of understanding crime. And then I started getting the senior police officer, they would respect me. And Prabal, his understanding of crime is very good. It went on, and then in 1999 I got an opportunity to work for television. And I first time went to Kashmir, Chiti Singhpura, where Sikhs have been massacred by the terrorists. It was Enadu TVs. We were producing programs for them. Then I worked there for hardly 10 months. Then Ashtak was to be launched, and they were looking for a person who could cover terrorism, crime. And I had studied a lot about terrorism, and my stories were quite applauded by the readers and my seniors. So I got opportunity for Ashtak, to work with Ashtak. Then the Ashtak channel was launched, and within 6 months, I was sent to cover war in Afghanistan. There is a very interesting story, and there were senior journalists, much senior to me, who were working with Ashtak. They were asked to go to Afghanistan. They could not, even find the route. So my editor, suddenly we met him. He called me, He said, Afghanistan jaoge? मैं कहा, हाँ चला जाऊंगा. So he said, yeah, there are quite seniors who have been trying to go to Afghanistan. They are not getting visa from Pakistan to go to Afghanistan. I said, look, since you have told me I'll go to Afghanistan, well, how fast can you reach there? मैंने कहा within 24 hours. He said, no, don't joke me, don't joke. And I said, look, let me find ways and I'll reach Afghanistan. So it so happened, and I spoke to my friends, what is the alternate route I can take? So they suggested that I should go to Kyrgyzstan. The capital of Kyrgyzstan is Bishkek. From there, I should go to Tajikistan. The capital of Tajikistan is Dushanbe. And then from Dushanbe, I should drive down to the Tajik-Afghanistan border. There is a river called Amu Darya, and cross over the river and reach Afghanistan. So I took that route and was the first Indian journalist to have reached there. And it so happened, it's a very interesting story. When I was, there were almost 40 journalists from all over the world who had come to Dushanbe to go into Afghanistan. And the bombing hadn't started. The America hadn't started bombing Taliban's stronghold there. So in the dead of nights around 2:30 and 3, all for 40, 50 odd journalists, we bribed Russian army and to facilitate our entry. Everybody paid, $200 per head. So Russian army took the money, and then we crossed the Amu Darya and reached Afghanistan on my own. When I reached Afghanistan, so I had no idea because the half of Afghanistan, almost two-thirds of Afghanistan, was under the control of Taliban, and only one-third of part which was under control of Northern Alliance, the government which was being recognized by United Nations. So we had to go to this Northern Alliance held area. So when I reached there, it was there was this taxi driver, and one guy approached me, and they said, "You want to be an interpreter, and we'll charge $100 per day." I said, "Fine." And then he arranged a taxi for me. So we were driving dead in the nights around 2:33. Uh, then suddenly at 4, the the petrol of that taxi, there was no petrol tanks and this, so there was no petrol in the. So my driver and my interpreter told me that, look, we there is no petrol and we can't you can't go further. So he took me to a person, and then we were offered tea, and we slept there. And in the morning, petrol was arranged. And we went ahead and we covered the bar. I was there for 40 days. And there is a movie called Kabul Express. It's made on me. If you this movie was produced is based on my coverage of Afghanistan war. So I was there for almost 40 days, and then I came back to India, and there I had to face a lot of hardship, but all these hardship and everything, it never deterred me. It never prevented me from pursuing what I wanted to pursue. I survived without food for 9-10 days. We would hardly get food. We will get food once in 3 days or maybe 4 days time. So after 40, 45 odd days, when I came back, I had lost my appetite. I had lost 10, 11 kgs. But when I came to India, because there was no television, no phone, we were operating through satellite phone. There was no cellular network, no electricity, nothing. And when I came back to India, I had now seen my coverage. So when I landed at Delhi airport, so people surrounded me. Then I realized that I had become a celebrity. I never knew that what I, because there was no television, no electricity in Afghanistan. So everybody would recognize me. Everybody will come and ask for my autograph. Then I said, oh, this is the power of journalism. And I enjoyed doing it. Then I went to, there's a very interesting story I'll tell you in Afghanistan. And I keep telling whomever I meet, I share these stories. The Afghans love Indians very much. and they are crazy about Indian actors and actresses. Like these Khan brothers, they are very popular there. This Khan, Amir Khan, Salman, they are very popular there. And in Tajikistan, Mithun Chakravarti is very popular. It is said that if he contests election there, he will win the election. And people call him Jimmy. So in Dushanbe, what was happening when I was driving down to Afghanistan? So we were, stopped by custom department of Tajikistan. So they wanted to check my vehicle whether I was carrying anything illegal or not. So the guy came to me since he could not speak English. He said, I told him that I'm from India. So he said, oh, from Jimmy's country? You know Jimmy? I said, Mithun Chakravarti? But yes, I know him very well. But, oh, that's a great man. Go and convey my good wishes to. Yeah. So Mithun was very popular. Then I went to Afghanistan. There was this commander whom I met during course of my coverage. So this commander asked me, how is Hema Malini? So I said, she's fine. So then he asked me about, the other celebrities, and it was the Indian movie, that was a great connect between us and the Afghan people. After almost having spent 35 days, when I reached Kabul after the fall of Kabul, so I was just carrying two pairs of trousers and two pairs of shirt and jacket and this thing. So I was wearing it for almost 35 days. So once I reached Kabul, this is another interesting story. So I told my cameraman, let's go and buy some stuff for ourselves, because the new government will be formed and we should have decent clothes to wear. So we went to a shop, and at the moment I entered in the shop, there were two other females who were burqa clad. They were also shopping the same shop. So I went there, and during course of my conversation, the owner of the shop asked me, "Are you from Pakistan?" I said, "No, I'm from India." So from India? I said, "Yes." From Hindustan, Hindi? I said, "Yes, I'm from Hindi in Hindustan." So I had bought a leather jacket. So he said he won't charge because I'm an Indian. So I said, no, please, it's very costly, $45. Please, otherwise I won't take it. So he said, no, you are brother, and I can't charge from my brother. So then I said no. Then I insisted, and somehow he gifted me. He did not charge for the jacket, but he did take money for the other stuff which we have bought. After shopping, when I was getting out of the shop, these two females they also came out, and one was almost 5'7" plus tall, the other was almost 5'5" tall. They were wearing burqa, and they were walking almost 10 steps ahead. Both of them turned back and looked at me, lifted their burqa, the wheel, and asked me, "Are you from India?" I said, "Yes." And they said, "I love it, yeah." And they walked away. So Indians are very popular there. My life in Kandahar, after the fall of Taliban, Mullah Umar stronghold had been bombed by the Americans, and he had run away. So I had gone to cover. No other journalist could go there. I was the only one who took the risk and drove down from Kabul to Kandahar to cover what was happening there. And we were surrounded by pro-Pakistani elements. It was the only thing which saved my life was that I was here. The moment the local Afghan army chief get to know about that I am an Indian, he immediately dispatched a number of troops to save me. Otherwise, I could have been assassinated then and there. So it was very. Then I went from there. When I came back to India, 2 years later, I was sent to Iraq to cover American bombing at Saddam. This thing. And I'm the only Asian journalist to have entered that spider hole from where Saddam was captured and where he was hiding. He was hiding in a spider hole. Okay, and I went there to cover. I stayed there for almost a month. Then 2 years later, I went to Lebanon also to cover the Israeli bombing of Hamas there. I've been to Kashmir almost 100 times. I've been to Bastar. I've been to Naxal affected area. I've been to everywhere. There are very many stories, and I keep telling uh, you it will never end. I mean,
Well, that that was really interesting. So, sir, uh, from you have that those were some really interesting stories, and of course, it was really interesting to hear the popularity of Indians overseas in Afghanistan, and uh, you had some serious strong will to go there and actually go into the war. So props to you on that, sir. And sir, moving on, how did you transition from being a field reporter, a war crime or a war reporter, to being the chief editor of like various media companies and currently News 18?
uh, frankly, if you ask me, though I'm group editor of this thing, but I don't like it. I still want to, become a reporter and be in field. Transition so happened because I have been, I'm a workaholic. So I used to work, 12 hours, maybe 13 hours a day. Uh, when I started covering war, I started getting promotions and perks and everything. Suddenly, in 2006, I was offered the position of input head, and then I became managing editor, and then I'm group editor. The transition, it was my work, which was acknowledged by my seniors and who promoted me and who gave me. So today I'm managing people and I'm running managing channel. It was pure my work. I mean nothing else. Because my seniors appreciated my work, they promoted me, and today what I am is, is because of them.
Absolutely, sir. So basically, your work and your like your sweat and tears paid off because you did a lot of great stuff over your early days of your career. But sir, what would be your advice to young people, of course, in media industry and various other industry, to grow through the ranks in their own respective fields?
The only my only piece of advice is whatever you want to do. I keep telling to the kids and my juniors whom I interact whenever I get an opportunity to interact with them. My only motto is, my only advice, my only piece of advice is that whatever you want to do it very sincerely. Do it very sincerely. There is nothing called halfway approach to whether you want to play guitar, you play guitar sincerely. Want to play tabla, do it sincerely. And when I say sincerely, it means you will have to involve yourself. If you don't involve in yourself in pursuing your dream work, it will never give you satisfaction. And if it doesn't give you a satisfaction, you will never excel in your field. So the only motto is do it sincerely. Do it. When I say I'm sincerely, it doesn't mean that you work for 12 hours. Sincerely means that anything. Suppose if you want to become a teacher and you want to teach mathematics, so you should know or you want to become a journalist, you should know what you want to pursue. Like I gave you the example, when I was covering crime, I studied IPC and CRPC. Why? Only to understand how a case is FIR is filed, how a case is pursued, what is charge sheet, what is not. So I had to when I started covering terrorism, I studied. I would meet terrorists also who have been captured. I'll interview them. I'll sit with them for hours together to understand their mind, and this will give me a different perspective. I had read whole books on suicide attacks. What is suicide attack? I read almost 10 books on that. So when I this I mean, there is nothing called, what call, करना है तो फिर उसको मन से करिए. I mean, do it sincerely. If you otherwise, don't do. I mean, this is my only advice. And because I know people, I have seen people. I have there are very many junior reporters who work with me. I Some of them are very good, and those who are working sincerely, they are getting promoted. They are hogging the limelight also.
Yes,
So
sir. Um,
you have to be very committed and sincere.
yes, sir. Absolutely. If I think what you said is really true, and a lot of people don't have commitment to their industry. They are just very lazy, and
I'll give
of
you
course,
one example.
don't.
I'll give you
Yes.
while when I was going to Afghanistan, when I was asked to go to Afghanistan, my first baby was to be born. My daughter was to be born, and she was 9 months in the womb. My wife was 9 months pregnant. I went and asked her, "Look, I want to go to cover war. If something happens," so she told me, "Go and cover war. In case something happens to me, if something happens to me and I get killed there, what is there?" So I left my wife, who was 9 months pregnant, and went to cover the war. It was my commitment and sincerity, nothing else.
Yes, sir. I think when you're committed and sincere to your career, of course, not a lot of young people these days are
No
committed.
career.
They are just after money. So
Yeah,
actually, do something that you have a passion in, and of course, if you have a passion, you will follow your passion. If you don't follow your passion, you are just a lazy person. So
mhm,
just follow your passion and do whatever you want to do, and
mhm,
just do it. So I think
mhm.
borrowing from Nike, but moving on, sir. Um, any habits do you think which made you who you are? Some habits that you cherish from your life.
I'm a workaholic. I'm workaholic. I'm
Absolutely.
workaholic. That is the only habit I have. I
Yes.
mean,
Um.
I'm workaholic. When I say I'm workaholic, I don't work to 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 please my bosses. No, I don't work for 12 hours to please my bosses. I work for 12, 13 hours because I love working, because I enjoy working. So that is, there have been occasions where when this the when Kasab attacked Mumbai, you must have heard about this attack on Mumbai attack. Uh, I did not blink my eyes for 72 hours. I was covering the terror attack. There has been many occasions where I did not even sleep. I covered 48 hours. I remained awake covering. I did go to sleep because I never felt tired or felt like sleeping. I said no, the event is more important. My sleep तो 2 दिन बाद भी सो जाऊंगा. But this is more important. So because you enjoy doing what you do, then rest doesn't matter. Things don't matter.
Yes, sir. I think that is really true. But moving on, sir. Your interesting. So you had many interesting life changing experiences at a young age that shaped your life. Sir, I think that's really interesting. But what is your view on journalism? Has it changed over the years? Is it still idealistic, dynamic, or has it changed? What are your views on this topic?
Uh, it hasn't changed. I mean, the journalism is, it is the same as it used to be earlier. It hasn't changed. But yes, it is for instance, I'm talking about television. Television in India is it's almost 25 years. Private television is 25, 26 year old. Uh, so it is growing medium. Okay, it is a growing medium, and it will stabilize maybe 10 years from now or maybe 15 years from now. So in the process of its evolution, the whole lot of things happen. That is, journalism is not changing. And it's in one of the most what do you call, I would put it there, I mean, very sought after profession, very sought after. It gives you, it empowers common man. It empowers whatever you are witnessing or watching. It is part of that evolution process that is happening. Maybe 15 years from now it will stabilize. Then you won't see the kind of fluctuations which we are witnessing today, or which we compare with the past.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And I also believe journalism has changed. Of course, change is a necessary part of life. So everything changes over
Mm,
time.
mm,
There's nothing
mm,
that doesn't change. But, sir,
mm.
sir, do you have any inspiration, or have over the course of your career in journalism, whose leadership or leadership quality influences you? Who do you think like
No,
is your role model, something like that?
no, I have. I mean, it will be wrong to name one or two people. I've learned from my juniors. I've learned from my seniors. I've learned from my editors. I've learned from my colleagues. I'd learned from trainee reporter. So it's not that somebody, only one person has influenced me. Rather, you know, I'm somebody who always, look for what is to be taken from him. Even if somebody is my junior, I'll give him a patient hearing. I'll listen to him. Maybe I'll learn from him. So I've learned from very many people, not just one.
Yes, sir. Same, sir. I've done almost 70 or 75 interview. I've done more, like so many interviews, and I learn from every single people I talk to. So I think this is a really interesting career, and you get to meet so many people. You get to learn so much. You get to express yourself. So I think it's a win-win situation. Uh, Moving on, sir. India is also being projected as a Vaishya Guru, and I believe, while being projected as a Vishwaguru, I think India is a Vishwaguru, and has been for a last like from thousands of years back. But what is your take on India and its future?
I am very positive about it, very optimistic about it. That India as a country will obviously, there are many more to come. I am very positive. We'll do as a country. Will there are, will do wonders. I would put it that way.
Yes, sir.
Look at
Anything
look
you're
look
excited
at.
about?
I am excited about you. When I look at the kids who are interviewing, the first interview I did, television interview I did, was at the age of 35, 36, and look at you. So
Um,
that's a beauty of this country. When I was
yes.
studying, I said I did not have access to English newspaper. I'll get the English. I didn't have access. So today you guys have access to everything. Google, search engine, everything. You can read. We had to read books. We have to wait for books to come. But today you guys have access. And you look at when I go and meet youngsters, the children, the cubs, uh, I'm amazed, and I feel very happy and good that they are doing so well. I mean, and I'm proud of them.
Yes, sir. Um. Uh.
The
I think.
potential country,
Yes.
the potential our country has. I mean, I think in next couple of years, it will realize its full potential. Then you will see how India is growing.
Yes, sir. I think the future of any country, or of especially India, is its youth. Since of course
Mm.
youth will take charge of this country in the future. It's
Mm.
not I'm saying that I'm going to take charge,
Mm.
but youth is going to take charge sometime in the future, and youth
Mm.
has the ability to make India greater or take India
Yeah.
into worse ends. So
The other day,
ultimately,
the other day, I was
yes,
reading that the head of Oxford is a boy from West Bengal. He's director there. So look at the company. The about a month back, I interacted with a guy who's making drones. He's a 10th pass out, and he's making drones. And the drones are being used by all the government to deliver medicines to the far off areas. He's just 10th pass out. Does not have the money also, but his drones are being procured by the several governments. So these are the kind of things that is happening, which whole lot of innovations are, and most of these kids and youths, they are doing a whole lot of innovations.
yes. I think I agree with you, and India has a very great future with youth in mind, because youth can either make it or break it. So putting a bet on that, we don't have any other choice. But moving on, sir, how do you think social media impacts journalism? Because social media is a relatively new concept. You were there before social media even began, and what do you think? Like, you've been overseeing this industry for so much, so much time. So what is the main change that social media has caused into
Actually,
journalism?
actually, actually, it is amplifying journalism. Social media
Yes,
is amplifying journalism. There was a time when social media was not there. We would, we will activate our sources. We'll get to know about a story. We'll go and went to a spot, cover it, come back, file the story. That was a, I mean, very strenuous process. But today, with the bloom in social media, you don't have to. If somebody, my source, calls me, sir, there is something wrong in Srinagar, he will immediately make footage and send it to you on WhatsApp or something, or through Google or whatever. So the time taken previously is reduced. So it is amplifying. It has empowered common man in such a way that today, if you are facing some problem, you have to just post a video on Twitter and tag the concerned authority. It will be taken. The issue will be addressed. It will be taken note of immediately. This is happening. So it is amplifying journalism. Now most of these stories, we earlier we used to break it on television, but now it is the medium like Twitter or Facebook that the stories are breaking there, because this is easy. In TV, you will have to call the office, send footage, phone. By the time you have to tweet 4 lines, and the story is out. So it is amplifying journalism.
absolutely. So basically, social media has amplified journalism, and that is a very interesting take,
Uh,
sir. And sir, what sir have please advise some books that you have read that have made maximum impact in your life. Some books that you would advise to, like, for other people to read.
no, why? Because it is not. It will not be proper for me to advise youngsters like you. For the simple reason, I read whatever, as a journalist in the past 30 years. I read what my professional requirement would guide me to read. So so if I suggest you those things and maybe you're not interested, it will be of no use to you. So I would rather suggest that read whatever you want to read. Read
Yes,
whatever you want to read, but it should interest you. I read a book on terrorism. I read several books on crime. I read several books on political science, because during course of my journalistic growth, these things, because since I loved my profession so much, so I think that I must read this to improve my knowledge. So one book I can't, but read whatever you want to read. If you want to become an interviewer, if you want to interview, read about personality.
Yes, sir. I also agree. But but one of the most interesting advices that I think I should give is you should read whatever is that.
That's the only thing.
Yeah,
That's
you
what I've
should
said.
read. You should
You should
read.
read. Whatever you want to read, you should read it.
Yes, sir. Um. Uh. Sir, please advise two people whom you would like to see and learn from on this show, and why.
Two people from whom I would, what? I couldn't get you.
Who, some people whom you would like to see on this show that you know.
On my show,
On this show.
on this show, on your show. Mm, how? I mean, I mean, mm, you should, you from any field or from journalism. I mean,
It's on you. An interesting person that you know,
then
whom you can, yeah.
mm, okay. Mm, I think you should have somebody from the forces, defense forces, and somebody from Jammu Kashmir police, to anybody from constable or lady constable or inspector, or
But
anybody from
but
J&K
that's
police
but actually that's not the
on your
point.
list.
The point is a person whom you know,
Individual.
a person whom
Oh,
you know. So it's
I
going to
know so
come from
many
you.
people.
That's why
I know
only two
so
people
very.
I'm asking.
You should have Yogi Aditya.
If you know him, you can give me his contact, sir. I will connect.
Okay, I'll do that. Okay. And uh, I mean, shall I'll give you, I'll arrange two names for you.
Yes, sir.
I'll tell you.
Absolutely.
Mm,
Yes,
mm,
sir. One you've already given, right? Yogi
mm,
Adityanath. But,
mm.
sir, lastly, I hope you enjoyed this show. Sir, sir, please advise one unique thing you have liked about Aditya Talks and any suggestions which should be incorporated to improve the experience of our viewers.
No, no, no. My no suggestion. My only take is I won't suggest anybody, but I enjoyed interacting with you. I never knew that such a young boy would extract so much from me, and that's a beauty of the interviewer. And I'm happy. I enjoyed talking to you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I also learned a lot, and your stories were very interesting. And I think my viewers, you also enjoyed them a lot. I
Mm.
certainly did, and I would love to take more of your interviews in the future when you visit more
Mm.
interesting places and cover more interesting stories or do something interesting. But ultimately, sir, I today was a great experience, and I learned a lot from you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adit. Thank you.
Yes, sir. My viewers,
Mm.
thank you for watching till the end and stay tuned for next week. Next Saturday, we are coming up with another story. And like and subscribe, click the notification bell. But thank you, sir. And thank you, my viewers.
Thank you
See you,
very much. Okay.
see you next time.